Hello, and welcome to the weekly wrap only on KENS 5 Plus. I'm your host, Audrey Castoreno. Want to get to some of our biggest stories of the week. At number 5 in our countdown, after more than a year of conflict, Israel and Hamas agreed to a ceasefire deal. The two sides have been negotiating on and off for months. Phase 1 of the deal would last 42 days, with Hamas releasing 33 hostages, including women, the elderly, and the ill. In exchange, Israel would set free dozens of Palestinian detainees for each hostage. At number 4, state lawmakers headed back to work this week, kicking off the 89th Texas legislative session. The first order of business was choosing a new Speaker of the Texas House. State Representatives Dustin Burrows and David Cook were both eyeing the job. Burrows was chosen as the new Speaker. Now, as far as some of the topics that'll be discussed, school vouchers will be a hot one. Governor Greg Abbott is again pushing for lawmakers to pass it. The program uses taxpayer dollars to pay for private schooling. Other focal points will be immigration and abortion. Switching gears, now if you're in need of a good knife, then you may want to look to Grove Tool Company. They even teach people how to make their own knives. Barry Davis got a lesson in iron making. That's where he went in this week's Texas Outdoors.
I actually got into knife making trying to impress my wife.
It must have melted her heart. Daniel Collier's been married 13 years and has turned what began as a hobby into a pretty sharp business.
That knife is priced at $1,100.
Put that down before I drop it.
They're obviously all not that expensive, but they are beautiful.
Right now, we ship over 1,000 knives a year.
No kidding.
Yeah, we ship all over the world.
Iron Grove's knives aren't cheap either. They're not made that way.
Part of the space in which we operate is an actual concern for how things are made. We want the individual attention of a skilled craftsman.
His skills are wicked, so of course I wanted to learn.
That's what you start with. That's honestly what.
That is what we start with.
This was that.
That was that.
I was a little skeptical I could make anything resembling a knife out of a 4-inch steel rod.
This thing burns at 2,400 degrees. Anything inside there will get to that temperature.
Holy moly.
But it's amazing what a little heat and a big hammer will do. Over the next couple of hours, we heated that metal rod and beat on it until it began to take shape.
There you go. Look at that. It's starting to look like a knife already.
You only have about a minute, if that. Then you have to reheat the metal again and keep pounding.
And now we're just flattening along there.
A few more heatings, a little more hammering. It was time for the quench, or as Collier calls it, the birth of the knife.
Excited? Stick it in.
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go.
I was like a proud papa, but there was one more step and I didn't want to mess it up.
Material tools.
So I had Collier grind and sharpen it, and it's sharp.
I am completely blown away. And I love the weight of it, everything about it. I can't wait to use it.
Now I have something I'll hopefully have the rest of my life.
Very cool. Well, Iron Grove can make any knife, cleaver, pizza cutters, you name it. For more information, check out their website, irongrovetoolcompany.com. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
At KENS 5, we want you to be prepared for changing weather. That's why we're introducing KENS 5 Weather Impact Alert Days. We'll give you a heads up as to what's coming.
Coming up on Thursday will be a Weather Impact Alert Day.
Get an early warning so you can prepare with KENS 5 Weather Impact Alert Days.
Texas Outdoors, Friday mornings, only on San Antonio's own KENS 5.
Start with a rich cultura. Set it against the backdrop of history. Add some fire, more than a touch of spice, and a burning passion. Set it to música, and watch it all come alive in the eyes and the faces of the people we love. This is our familia. This is our home.
Talked to this police officer, and she told me to call Ken 5.
Every week, KENS 5 is looking out for San Antonio's own.
The next day after you left, they sent a professional AC guy, and my AC's working now.
If you've been wronged by someone,
it was shocking. Clearly something went wrong.
Or a business,
I couldn't believe it was happening.
Just call KENS. Weekdays at 6, only on KENS 5.
I got my vehicle back. I'm rolling again, so call KENS 5 to help you if you need help too.
If you want a meal that will make you wanna
do a little happy dance.
Oh yeah.
Catch Neighborhood Eats, where we find the best local restaurants. Thursdays at 6 a.m., only on KENS 5.
I'm excited to try it.
Go ahead. Take a look at the faces of San Antonio Zone. When you look into their eyes, you see passion, you see hard work, you see familia. Generations of people who embody a rich culture of respect, honor, and originality. We're all in San Antonio, but more importantly, San Antonio is in us. It's what makes us special. It's why we're proud to be San Antonio's own.
Welcome back to the weekly wrap. At number 3 in our countdown, the FDA is banning red dye number 3 from food, beverages, and ingested drugs. Now, the dye is a synthetic color additive used to give foods and beverages a bright cherry red color. Now, the decision was made over concerns about how the dye has been linked to cancer and laboratory animals. The move comes nearly 35 years after the dye was banned from cosmetics. Manufacturers using it in food have until 2027 to reformulate their products.
A regulatory rule that if a drug or nutrient or additive causes tumors to occur in mice or oncogenicity in mice, those drugs should not be approved.
Some of the most common medications with red dye number 3 are amoxicillin, oxycodone, doxycycline, and Tylenol PM. Some companies have already stopped using red dye number 3, while others have begun phasing it out. And wearable medical devices are increasing in popularity, and a lot of people use a Fitbit and Apple Watch to track their health. KENS 5's Jeremy Baker looks into the tech and how confusion over how to read it could lead to some serious health concerns.
These devices include smartwatches, medical-grade wearables, EKGs, and devices that monitor your vital signs, activity, and even sleep. The problem arises when the data is misinterpreted.
They can be helpful, but sometimes they might not be on properly, or someone might not be using them correctly, which could give false readings, or on the flip side, it could cause undue worry.
Some of the pros of wearable medical devices include real-time health monitoring, early detection of disease or other health issues, and increased access to your own health data.
Some of those benefits could be potentially maybe early detection of an arrhythmia or an abnormal heartbeat, where you could then seek medical attention for that.
However, there are some cons, like over-reliance to the device, inaccurate readings, data security and privacy concerns, and unnecessary worry,
which usually leads to more office visits, ER visits potentially. You do need to be careful when interpreting the results.
And more doctor visits for problems that aren't there could cost you more unnecessary spending. But whether you have a wearable medical device or not, Nyron says you need to listen to your body.
If something doesn't feel right, and even maybe if your results are normal, please do get that checked out. You always want to get the input of your healthcare provider.
For more about the increased use of these devices and research around the numbers, we have a link with this story on KENS5.com. Jeremy Baker, KENS 5.
Some great tips there. Stick with us. More weekly wrap after this.
Spurs fans, are you ready? The Silver and Black team up with KENS 5 once again to give you the best seat in the house. KENS 5, the official station of the Spurs, has the big matchups, including 2 historic games in Paris. Watch Wemby and CP3 link up. The perfect mix of fan favorites and fresh faces. Free games. Your Spurs on San Antonio's own KENS 5.
Trust. It doesn't just happen. Trust is earned through decades of dedication and a dawn-till-dusk commitment to our community. It's earned by journalists who consistently show up, verify, and dig deeper. delivering news that impacts you and your family every single day. The station South Texas has trusted for nearly 75 years. This is San Antonio's own KENS 5.
At the heart of KENS 5 News is our people. People who've earned the trust of our community through years of experience, community connection, and showing up when it matters most. The reporters and anchors at KENS 5 News are the most experienced team in town, consistently delivering the important news you need. They're the people you're familiar with, the people you trust. KENS 5 News, proud to be San Antonio's own.
We're the Frosto family, and we're San Antonio's own.
Go ahead. Take a look at the faces of San Antonio's own. When you look into their eyes, you see passion, you see hard work, you see familia. Generations of people who embody a rich culture of respect, honor, and originality. We're all in San Antonio, but more importantly, San Antonio is in us. It's what makes us special. It's why we're proud to be San Antonio's own.
Welcome back. For this week's Quick Hits, KENS 5's Meredith Haas does a deep dive into what we wear and how research could help slow a once incurable disease.
Researchers are jumping back in time to create armor now, or so it seems. It looks like they have created a two-dimensional kind of structure that looks like the chain link armor that was used back in medieval times. And while on the topic of wearing technology, researchers are also developing this kind of tech that you can wear and it generates energy. And then taking a little look inward, researchers are looking at Huntington's disease. It's an incurable hereditary disorder that affects the brain, but now they're finding ways to slow it down. If you would like to read more into these fascinating stories, head on over to kens5.com/quickhit.
All right, and now back to our countdown. At number 2, firefighters in Southern California hoping to make more headway in stamping out multiple wildfires there. At least 25 people have died and more than 12,000 structures were destroyed in the fires that began over a week ago. People there are facing a daunting recovery process as they continue to search for answers.
I lost a lot of memories, a lot of good times. We don't know what we're going to do, where we're going to go.
Now questions swirl over what happened before the deadly flames spread. California's governor says the wildfires could become the costliest natural disaster in U.S. history. And at number 1 in our countdown, the Supreme Court upholds the law banning TikTok beginning Sunday if it's not sold by its Chinese parent company. And now some social media users are already flocking to an alternative. The so-called TikTok refugees have made Red Note the most downloaded free app in the U.S. The app, which is also owned by a China-based company, allows users to share short-form videos, photos, and text just like TikTok. So most Chinese users have warmly welcomed the newcomers, many who say they do not share Washington's concerns about China.
We should have the right to go to all of these apps, and we should have the free speech in America to do this. Like, that's what we are based on.
President-elect Donald Trump had called on the court to keep the TikTok ban on hold until after he takes office on Monday. All right, well, that's it for the weekly wrap. Thanks for joining us this week's episode. Of course, you can always catch it on KENS 5 Plus. We'll see you next week.